over and over again, when the White House issued the statement about young Donald Trump's meeting, they talked about how the discussion with Veselnitskaya was about the adoption of Russian children. On July 9th, he said the adoption of Russian children was the subject. On July 10th, they tweeted how the conversation was primarily about adoptions. Sean Spicer later on talked about the conversation about a discussion about adoption. When the president interviewed with the New York Times, he said, I actually talked about Russian adoption with Vladimir Putin. And the president's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, in his July 24th Intel Committee statement said he was talking about the issue of a ban on U.S. adoptions of Russian children. So, to a Russian agent or official, a conversation with an American about adoptions is a conversation really about what?
About the Magnitsky Act.
And in turn?
I'm sorry?
Well, the adoption connects it to the Magnitsky Act.
So basically,
what is the Magnitsky Act?
The Magnitsky Act was passed. Putin retaliated by banning the adoption of Russian orphans.
But the Magnitsky Act is tied to sanctions, is it not?
Indeed. So they weren't talking.
So if you're talking about adoption,
you're not talking about adoption. They were not. Nobody was talking about adoption.
Talking about children.
Nobody was talking about adoption. They were talking about the repeal of sanctions so that Russian torturers and murderers could freely travel and keep their money in America.
Adoption is, in effect, code to Russians for talking about lifting sanctions.
That's correct.
Is there any reason that anybody in the president's circle should know that?
I can't speak to their frame of mind, but
Can you imagine that they would not know that?
I don't want to put thoughts into anyone else's head, but I can say with certainty that nobody was talking about adoption.
Got it. So